Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast. Now, yes, the COVID-19 virus might have us all locked down. And for many of us, I'm quite conscious, this is going to be the first crisis that we've experienced in an entire lifetime. So what I wanted to do was go in search of someone that is no stranger to hardship, but someone that also had triumphed over adversity, which led me to Dmitriy Akulov from a company called Prospect One. And having outlasted the war in Ukraine, he recalled daily bombings, tanks on the streets, armed militia travelling freely throughout the place that he called home. But while that war went on outside, he remained persistent. And he went on to become the leading force for some of the largest names in the tech world, including PerfOps, JS Deliver and Prospect One. And he also has a genuinely inspirational story that I hope you listen to today and use his story to inspire you to do something similar while you're sat there staring at four walls each day. So let me beam your ears all the way to Krakow in Poland so we can speak with Dimitri now. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Dimitri. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Hello, everyone, and nice to meet you. My name is Dimitri, and right now I'm in Poland, but I'm from Ukraine originally, and I'm the founder of multiple tech startups and high-tech services.
Now, although this is a tech podcast, one of the reasons I'm excited to get you on the podcast today is because I remain passionate about the stories behind tech companies too, and what shaped the guests, what put them on this path, and what made them who they are today. And when researching you before you came on, I quickly learned that you are a man who lived through war to become one of Europe's top CEOs. So can I ask that you share that story as a tech innovator and entrepreneur, which is also played with war and innovation too?
Yes, so like I said, I'm from Ukraine, and I'm from the eastern part of Ukraine, and I was there when the war started, and I lived there through the active phase of the war. So I was working remotely back then for a California-based CDN company. And while I was working, there were like bombs going outside, explosions, shootings. So it was kind of like it is now with the pandemic, so everyone had to stay put at home and not go outside because it's dangerous. But I worked there, but the whole thing was scary and dangerous, of course, but at the same time, it forced you to do something about that. So you cannot stay, passive about things when in such a situation. So I think it was one of my biggest motivators to actually change my life for the better as fast as possible. And that was actually when I decided that I need to move to Europe as soon as possible, any way possible. So it was a very long story how I actually got out of that region, because it was completely closed down. So I had to illegally cross the borders. But eventually I made it back into Ukraine. And from there, I applied for a business visa to Poland, where I actually opened my company called Prospect One. And after that, things went much better. But yeah, I think it was a very adventurous part of my life, and it actually pushed me to do great things.
And I'm curious, as someone that has actually triumphed over adversity, can you offer any big lessons that you learned during that time? What might just help people listening deal with this current global pandemic that everybody's experiencing right now?
Yeah, well, like I said, it was very similar to what's going on right now outside. So you cannot go outside, you have to stay home, it's dangerous. You should not, you kind of go a bit crazy at home with the closed walls and all the bad news you read all the time. So I think one of the most important things you have to do is stay calm and don't panic, because you have to make the right decisions during this time. And if you do panic, it's impossible to do so. You have to keep yourself busy And I think this is the perfect time for people to build side projects, build new services, or learn new things, because you now have all this free time on your hands. Well, assuming, of course, that you can work remotely or you are financially independent. And you can learn how to program. You have time to read how marketing works. You have the time to read how to build a startup with minimum investments. And I think you should do that because it keeps your brain busy, and there's no time to panic. There's no time to read all this bad news, bad headlines. And I think it's very important. Just keep yourself busy, and while you do so, make it worth your while. When the pandemic will be over, because it will be over, you could get out ahead of everyone. You could have a ready to go service or a new startup that is already generating revenue, and you don't have to start from scratch.
Such great advice there, because I suspect there will be people listening all over the world that are stuck in those four walls and slowly going crazy. But equally, there's never been such a better time to learn a new skill, create a new service or new product, and make the most of that time, because normally you don't have that kind of time on your hands, do you?
Yep.
Now, from there, of course, you went on to become a leading force behind some of the largest names in the tech world and with Prospect One. So can I ask that you share more about exactly what Prospect One is and what problems you solve for businesses?
So I guess Prospect One is kind of like a holding company. So it's basically me and a team of experienced and senior developers and designers. And together we build products, services, startups. And basically how it works, it's not very traditional to run business like that, like I do, but it works for me. So basically I encounter a problem in my work, in my daily life or whatever, and I try to find a solution to this problem. And if I can't, I most often than not, I build a service to solve this issue for people. And of course, we do it as a team at Prospect One. And that's how most of my popular projects came to be. So originally, when I wanted to find a free-to-use open source CDN for my JavaScript files, there was none. So I built JDeliver. And now it's one of the biggest one in the world. There was no information available about the performance of DNS providers, CDN providers, and other cloud providers like Amazon, Google. So I built the services, I launched them, and most often than not, again, I do it for free. So I build free services, I launch them, I let them be, and some of them don't always become popular, but others, they start ranking very high on Google organically. And I think that's the best validation for your idea, is that if Google picks you up and you're number one ranking for your keywords without actually doing anything, I think that's a very important thing. And basically that's how we do it. We find a problem, we build a solution, release it for free, and move on to the next problem. And then we monitor how our servers are doing. And at some point we decide which service we should monetize, which services we should convert to paying services, where we should add premium features. And that's how it works. One of them, actually, we converted into a full-on startup that we later raised $1.2 million to build. It was actually called Perfops, which is where I'm currently the CEO of the company.
And do you have any use cases or projects that you might be able to share, just to help any business leaders or decision makers listening understand what or how it could actually bring value to them and what they do?
Yes. So for Perfops, for example, that actually I think this is the biggest project we have built commercially, because we actually raised $1.2 million in Europe, of all places. And that is a project that allows you to do global load balancing of internet traffic. So it allows bigger companies and even smaller businesses to use multiple cloud providers at the same time. So maybe Google Cloud and Amazon Web Services. And that way they can lower the costs and they can improve the usability of their websites. They can make them faster for their users. And you can control your traffic to go around issues with GDPR. So you serve your traffic to Europeans only from Europe and so on. Also, we offer services like distributed infrastructure monitoring, where we are one of the 2 or 3 companies worldwide that have this kind of data where we can actually run billions of benchmarks on big companies, and we allow them to see how fast they perform in each city, with each ISP provider in every country of the world, and which is very valuable to them. So that's one of the many projects. And the other one is, of course, Just Deliver, which is a free-to-use multi-CDN for open source developers.
And like I said at the beginning of the podcast, I always try and research the guests and find out a little bit more about their backstory. And I also learned when researching you started JS Deliver, a free multi-CDN for open course projects, at the age of just 16. And today, that platform is one of the largest in the world, serving 65 billion users on a monthly basis. And clients include some of the world's largest websites, including multiple business, government sites too. So I've got to ask, I mean, what did you learn from that period, especially on how to scale a business, for example?
Well, actually, now I think it's over 75 billion monthly requests. So it's growing very fast. But I think other than the technical issues of how to scale a service to such huge amounts of traffic, what I've learned is that networking really matters and really helps you. Because when I built that, I was a teenager in Ukraine, basically nobody. And it was really hard for me to get in contact with the people I need to get in contact with to launch my service, because I need servers, I need some sponsorship for CDN services, I need help with promoting that. And when you are nobody, nobody's going to reply you ever. So I'm actually really grateful to MaxCDN and Justin Dorfman, who worked back then in their marketing department, who actually replied to my original email all those years ago. And he liked my idea and he gave me a free sponsored service to help me launch my service, Just Deliver. And that's kind of pushed things forward. And since then, we have multiple sponsors. I think we have 6 CDN providers helping us for free. We have multiple DNS providers helping us for free. We have, like you said, government websites using us. We have New York Times using us. There's hundreds of thousands of big websites, or even millions of smaller ones using our service. Some of them don't even know that they use our service because it's in the source code in their websites, and which is written by the developers. But yes, what I'm trying to say is that networking is super important, because now, after all those years, I'm still getting basically points thanks to Just Deliver. Because once I email someone and they just see on my LinkedIn that I'm the founder of Just Deliver, they immediately reply to me. I don't have to beg them or wait or get ignored. And back then, actually, people were laughing at me because I was working as a junior developer in some company, and I was basically spending my whole salary on Just Deliver, hiring designers to help me build a better website or buying some Google ads to promote it. And they were laughing at me, why are you doing that? For a free website, for a free service. And I was saying I don't know, I just like the idea. I want to see it grow. And many years have passed, and I think I've made all that money back thanks to all the opportunities that I got thanks to Just Deliver. And it's something I try to repeat over and over again, because you never know who is going to like your service. Because when I built DNSperf.com, which was a website for monitoring DNS performance, I started emails from Cisco and from Google and from Akamai, all huge companies, and they were emailing me personally and asking me, Dmitry, how can we buy your services, because we like your data. But before I built that, I spent thousands of dollars to build that, to buy all the servers, to buy all the equipment I need to run the service. So back then, again, people were considering me crazy. Why do you do that? But now I understand that it always pays back. It always pays back. And the networking that you're going to build thanks to all that is going to be very, very valuable. You cannot put a price to that, because now I can just post something on my LinkedIn and I will have the CEOs of many startups, big companies replying to me and offering me their service for free, or their advice for free, or mentorship. Back then, I had no chance of getting that anywhere.
And looking back, of course, you now have a track record of success in the tech startup world, which has taken you all around the globe with the purpose of building products that actually revolutionize life for real people. So I've got to ask, though, I mean, what motivates you and makes you want to jump out of bed in the morning after so much success?
Well, in my case, I just enjoy it.
Yeah.
For me, it's not a job or work or something I have to do. I just enjoy doing that. I enjoy building new stuff. I like every single step of that. I like building the idea. I like building the business plan. I like building the UI, giving tasks to developers, trying to figure out how to solve these complex technical problems, how to load balance our database, what technologies to use, what technologies are best to do all this research and learn all these new things. I have to learn to make the right decisions. It's just super interesting to me. So I guess just find what you like, and yeah.
Fantastic. And obviously you've worked in this industry a long time and you've seen things evolve. So I'm curious, how do you see the industry continue to evolve? What do you see next on the horizon?
Well, actually, you mean like the cloud industry, right?
Yeah.
So it would definitely continue to grow, and it's going to become more complex. So you have to understand better how the code works. You have to understand better how these complicated microservices interact with each other. But that is only a problem for the developers teams. For the businesses, it's going to be much, much better, because they're going to have to pay much less. They don't have to run huge and expensive data centers. They can just pay as you go to a cloud provider and scale instantly from 2 servers to 1,000 servers for the Christmas period if they have to. It's all amazing things. And I think what's going to happen next is the servers on the edge, which means that instead of right now where we have a few hotspots of data centers like Amsterdam, London, New York, Dallas, whatever, people are gonna start building smaller mini data centers in major cities. So imagine, instead of having to route all the traffic from all of Europe to London, you're gonna have presence in every single capital of Europe. What that's gonna do is that it's gonna help you optimize your performance, and your users are gonna connect to their own countries, and they're gonna see less latency. They're gonna see better web performance. And with the advance of 5G and better infrastructure with ISP providers, we're gonna see even better things. I think we're gonna be really, really cool to see is mini micro data centers that's gonna be in every single city next to the 5G routers. So imagine that you're working with a smartphone, instead of connecting to, like you're in Warsaw, instead of connecting to London, you connect to Warsaw. But if you are in Krakow, you connect to Krakow, and maybe even not to the main Krakow hub, you connect to the server in your own district and in your own neighborhood. And this is going to be amazing. It's going to allow companies to build much, much more reliable services, faster services, and for the users to enjoy a seamless, I don't know how to say it, a seamless internet experience, because no more loading screens, no more downloading slow downloads, no more lag. You're gonna be your city becomes your data center, and it's gonna be amazing, I think.
And what about Prospect One? Is there anything you can share about the road ahead there as well?
Yes. So as always, we are building new cool stuff, and right now we have a very interesting project in the makings, and which I think is gonna maybe a little bit revolutionize the industry, because again, it's a problem that I saw that I run into many, many times before. And it's been 2 years and nobody has solved this problem. So I finally decided that it's time for us to shine and do what we do best. So I'm hoping that this summer we're going to launch a new, very interesting cloud service.
And for anyone listening that'd like to delve a little bit deeper and find out a little bit more information about Prospect One or talk to your team, can you just point them in the best direction of where they can do that?
Well, actually, the best thing anyone can do is just Google me online, Dmitry Akulov, and my website is going to pop up, the first one. And all of my personal and social information is there. You can just email me any of your questions, and I'll be happy to answer them.
Well, I'll add those links to the blog post that will accompany this episode as well, just to make it nice and easy for people to find you. But you really have got an inspirational backstory, and I just love how it's all taken shape and what's led you to what you're doing now, and also how you're using technology to build products that revolutionize life for real people and solve real problems. So a big thank you, Dimitri, for taking the time to share that with everyone today.
Yeah, thank you for having me here.
Wow. I mean, starting JS Deliver, a free multi-CDN for open course projects at the age of 16. And today that platform serves billions of users each month. But his stories of bombings and tanks on the streets must have been incredibly harrowing. But the moment where he said he was stuck inside staring at 4 walls will resonate with so many of you today. So for that reason, I want you to remember how he said at that time where the whole world was crazy outside of those 4 walls, he used that time to learn and create so he could thrive when it was all over. Inspirational stuff. So I cannot thank Dimitri enough for coming on and sharing that with everyone today. As for everyone listening, if you've got a similar story, you want to share something or share your opinion, ask me a question, come on the show, whatever it is. My email is open to each and every one of you, which is techblogwriter@outlook.com. And my website is techblogwriter.co.uk, where you'll find all the other podcast interviews and all the links to my social channels as well. I feel quite humbled after listening to Dimitri's story there, so it's certainly given me food for thought, and I hope it has you. But I'm off now, so a big thank you for listening. I'll see you all tomorrow, and until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.